as any respectful man would. All right, we're live.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be back with you today. Not the best day yesterday. I think we ended up losing just a little bit, but the play that I was so very keen on everybody betting, Memphis plus 7.5, cash. Beavers trying to sabotage my Terps. I don't appreciate it.
Always trying to sabotage. I reset it. I can't tell if we're. God, I hate Wirecast so much. I cannot wait until freaking Kyle teaches me OBS tomorrow.
I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good now.
There's just not going to be any comments. I'll just say that now because the thing won't load. That's what I was trying to fix. I think that's what messed it up. There's not going to be any comments for the show. So if you have anything, I'll tell Toast about it.
Yeah, you can send me a DM or something. That's fine too. Yeah, it don't matter. I actually have the comments up as well. So if anybody wants to put anything in the comments, I'll try to check them before I go. Anyway, Maryland, UCLA. So first and foremost about this Maryland team, I want to talk about their 3-point shooting the last couple of nights, or the last couple of times they've been out. It's been absolutely horrible. I can't find the actual number that I had. It's like it's absolutely abysmal, and it shows. Like on the season, Maryland as a 3-point shooting team, 31.1%. That's good for 266 in the country, and Mick Cronin and their defense is usually built inside out, but this year they've actually done a very good job at defending the 3-point ball. Defending it, our teams are only shooting around 30% from 3-point land when they're facing UCLA. That's good for 67th in the country. But look, Maryland played a very, very hard game against a Wisconsin team that's long, that's lengthy, that can defend very well. And they lost. They don't get a pass for that, but they do get a pass for Sunday's game against Tennessee. I watched every minute of that game. I had a big bet on Maryland, which didn't end up working out. I can't remember what I had them at the points, but I know I had them plus 5.5. And then we had them on the money line too. So, but they were down by 20 against Tennessee at the half. It was a very rough looking first half for Maryland. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, here they come in the second half. And they play fantastic. They end up losing the game by 3. But I knew as soon as I saw what they did in the second half, now being off of 2 losses against this UCLA team at home, I knew that this was going to be a spot that I wanted to play Maryland in for sure. It's just, like I said, it's one of those things. Also, really quickly about that Tennessee game. I just want to make a point of it because it's been talked about a lot in my circles and whatnot. The balls that they used in that game were these new Spalding balls. There's a lot to be made about it, which probably led to and didn't help Maryland shooting well. And that includes Tennessee as well. It's not just Maryland. Tennessee didn't shoot well from either. It's both teams that ball kind of affected those guys. Again, you can take what you want from that. I truly believe that. Again, I'm not trying to make it seem like Maryland should be some absolute monster of a 3-point shooting team. But what I am trying to say is I do think that they're better than 31.1%. And I think that we have some positive regression coming our way in College Park tonight. That's what I do believe. UCLA is good. Like there's no question about this. But there's a couple other things in my wheelhouse that I like to get at. One of those is being free throws. UCLA, a decent free throw shooting team. So is Maryland. So there's nothing really crazy there. But shooting the 3 ball, UCLA has been a little bit decent, but I just think that it's not going to matter. I think that the regressions are going to be there. You're going to get Maryland, Jameer Young, Julian Reese, Dante Scott here in a hype spot. and then the experience. That's the one thing that I do think that could come in an advantage here. UCLA obviously has Jaime Jaquez and Tiger Campbell. That's the bread and butter of that program. There's no question about that. But guys like Amir Bailey, a Dame Bono, I still don't know how to say his first name. I got to figure that out. The Bono kid, the Jalen Clark kid, they're young. And UCLA, it shows in their experience. UCLA is number 126 in experience. Maryland's number 12. They do have a very experienced team. I'm all over Maryland here today. Give me Maryland minus the 1, minus 1.5, and we'll go from there. UCF at Ole Miss. Hold on, let me pull my notes up for that one. Look, UCF is one of these teams that's actually really hard for me to get a read on. They've only had 2 losses this year, one of them being against Miami, Florida. The other one was against their first in their first game of the year against UNC Asheville. Ole Miss, on the other hand, has been pretty damn impressive so far. They have 2 losses. One's against Oklahoma, the other against Memphis. We've seen the last couple of times Memphis has been out how good Memphis is. And Oklahoma, a team that Porter Moser coming over from them last year, looking good again this year. And they're 35th in the country as far as Ken Palm. So that's something that's obviously positive. I just don't know how much I trust Kermit Davis in this team, but at the same time, I will say that I don't know if I trust UCF on the road. It's the Ole Miss defense that's going to get me to the Ole Miss side. If I had to pick a side in this game, I don't think it's going to be a VIP play, but I would play Ole Miss minus the 6.5. Turnover percentage is one thing in college basketball for me, and that's one thing that UCF has a lot of problems with. 22.1% turnover percentage. That's good for 324th in the country. Yeah, it's pretty damn bad. And on the flip side of that, Mississippi State on defense does a fantastic job of turning you over. They're turning people over at 65%, 21%, which is good for 65th in the nation. They don't rebound that well, so I will say that UCF has a pretty decent size advantage on them. But at the same time, Mississippi State has done a much better job, especially offensive rebounding. They're one of the better offensive rebounding teams in the country. I just think it's a little bit too much. I would actually, if I had to play this game, I would actually probably lean under because both teams actually run through their defense. It's 128 for a reason. But I don't see a lot of second chance points here either. So I would lean Ole Miss, and I would definitely, my probably preferred play if I had a gun to my head would probably be the under, just because of styles of play. So next game up is Duquesne and DePaul. And this was one of the games that I really like. I'm taking the points with DePaul. Give me DePaul plus 2.5. Couple of things here really quickly. I do talk to a couple writers that follow this Duquesne team. And the quote that was given to me last night was this quote: Tevin Brewer is questionable, but I doubt that he plays. I would go with the Demon Deacons. And sometimes you just got to follow the writers, and the model. And that's 2 things that they both checked off for the DePaul Demon Deacons for me. So I'm all over DePaul. Give me DePaul plus 2.5. Shot quality model has this DePaul 73, Duquesne 66. Tevin Brewer not being in there does kind of suck for them. Pretty damn good and a good ball handler as well. But this DePaul team is actually quietly under the radar, playing pretty good for Coach Stubblefield. They lost to Santa Clara. They lost to Santa Clara, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, and St. John's. All 4 of those teams give you unique challenges when you're scouting them. Santa Clara's got that pause kid who's fantastic. Oklahoma State's well coached and plays defense very well. We just talked about Texas A&M and how well they've been, especially. And then St. John's, a team that gets up and down the floor really fast. Again, I'm not making excuses for them. All I'm saying is that for what DePaul came into the year at, they've actually played pretty damn well. The only thing also besides those teams that they have in common is it's been a step up in class. when DePaul has played good teams in like the 50s, 60s ranges of KenPom, they haven't fared fantastically. Santa Clara was 124. Duquesne is 137. They did have a game sprinkled in there with Samford that's, was 136. But again, I just think that this DePaul team with Javon Johnson and Deshaun Nelson and that Gibson kid, I like him here today. I think that Tevin Brewer is going to be, with him being out, I think that might be just like a little bit too much for Duquesne to handle. And then another thing, this is a game, a possession game. When I mean that is it's lower than 3 points, a 3-ball can change the game. Duquesne doesn't shoot free throws very well at all. 66.7% for the team. That's good for 280th in the country. And then on the DePaul side, 78.5%. That's good for 18th in the country. As long as DePaul stays, doesn't get crazy with the turnovers, because they have had turnover issues at times. But I think again, going back to the Brewer situation with him out, that might help a little bit. DePaul keeps the turnovers down tonight, and they should be able to cover and win this game. Give me DePaul plus 2.5. Man, okay. Western Kentucky and Louisville. Everybody, I mean, I haven't looked at the money this morning, but I mean, I'd be shocked if anybody was betting Louisville. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to bet Louisville. All I can tell you is that everybody's going to be betting Western Kentucky, and that's just not a boat that I'm ever going to want to be in. So I just can't do it. Is Western Kentucky by far the better team? Absolutely. If we want to talk about them really quick, 112th in KenPom. They have one loss this year to Akron. But again, this is more about how bad Louisville is, like, honestly. But a couple of things that Western Kentucky does really well is shoot. They shoot the three ball at 39.5% or so. That's good for 19th in the country. Their effective field goal percentage is 58%. That's good for, 54%. That's good for 58th in the country. The weird thing is they don't shoot free throws very well. And when you're laying, 8 points or whatever, that does kind of like really bother me. They are experienced, top 30 or so in experience. Again, as far as the Louisville side, there's nothing. I can't say anything positive. It's just been an absolute dumpster fire. You would think that like they would be in rock bottom after the Miami game or the Maryland game or the Cincinnati game or whatever, but they weren't. They even had Kenny Payne up there telling us that it wasn't rock bottom yet. And then they go lose by 22 to a Florida State team that, if you've been following college basketball, has had trouble scoring, let alone winning by 15 at times this year. So it's just so bad for Louisville. Again, I don't really want to be in a boat with a whole bunch of public Pete's. So again, I lean Western Kentucky. I'm not betting it myself, but trust me, if there was a way that I could figure out a way to get to Louisville and feel maybe a little bit, not even confident about it, just normal about it, I would do it. But anytime I try to get there, I start puking, I get hives. So it is what it is. I'm not going to blow any more money trying to fade the public with Louisville. So Western Kentucky's the lean, but like I said, guys, I didn't play it. St. Mary's and New Mexico. This one I'm actually I told Beaver there was a couple other games that was on the schedule, like Queens, East Tennessee State, South Dakota, East Carolina. I would lean South Dakota in that game. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this St. Mary's, New Mexico game. Just because I think that this is going to be one of the better games of the night. I would play this game probably under the 129. But I actually think that I really want to take the points with New Mexico. I'm not there yet. I do want to dig in a little bit more. But this next New Mexico team has been pretty decent. But again, they're one of those teams where the times that they've stepped up in class has really hurt them. And this St. Mary's team and if you don't know about this St. Mary's team, they play in the same conference as Gonzaga. Randy Bennett is one of the best coaches in the country, especially for what he does down there over and over every single year. They shoot the lights out of the ball, except for free throws. Again, another one of those teams that can shoot the three ball well, 37%. That's good for 59th in the country, but can't shoot free throws worth a lick, 64.1%. That's good for 325 in the country. They lost 3 games in a row. One of the games they lost to Washington, which I don't know. Washington's like an enigma. Washington can win against St. Mary's, yet lose at home to Cal Poly and Oregon State. So I guess Oregon State was probably, I think it was on the road. But regardless, they're trash. New Mexico's a decent loss. New Mexico's a good one. They play Iona in the next couple of days, father-son type of deal. That should be really fun to watch. And then they lost to Houston. Everybody loses to Houston except for Alabama. So, and then after those 3 losses, they've came back. They won a really good game against Missouri State, and then another really good game against San Diego State. I don't think this is like a sandwich spot because Colorado State isn't the same team like they were last year. But at the same time, I just don't know. It's really hard for me to lay 13 with the Gales here just because of the total. And neither one of these teams is really fast-paced. I mean, St. Mary's is one of the slowest. They love to play through their defense. And for New Mexico, they're 125 as far as pace. Again, nothing really crazy. But they can shoot the 3 ball. But again, neither one of these teams shoot free throws. So I would take the points with New Mexico, and I would play the under personally. Again, I don't know if New Mexico is going to be a VIP play for me, but it's one of the better games to look at. And I think that this is definitely a big game for them, a focus spot, as we would like to call it in the biz. Just because they don't have anybody on deck. They have a non-Division I opponent on deck in Northern New Mexico, and then Kent State after that. So a solid win against Duquesne. Their last time out, a 13-point victory on the road. So I think that they should be able to come into St. Mary's. As long as they're shooting the 3 ball all right, they should be able to stay within this number. But if they're not shooting the 3 ball well, because St. Mary's is only 160-ish defending it. So they're going to have to shoot the 3 ball well. If they're not shooting the 3 ball well, if you happen to watch this game, I would live look at the under because, if the 3 balls aren't falling for New Mexico, they're not going to have a very good time shooting 2 balls because considering anything inside the arc, St. Mary's kind of funnels up their 8th and team 2-point percentage. Teams are shooting 40% against them. That's like 8th in the country. It's very, very good. But like I said, neither team shoots free throws very well either. So it's kind of one of those things where even if St. Mary's does have a little bit of a lead, maybe that free throw shooting doesn't help work for them very well either. But yeah, it's weird. Both teams shoot threes, but they can't shoot free throws. It's one of those weird ones. But yeah. So that's it for me. I appreciate you guys all sticking through this and watching. Again, DePaul and Maryland are my two favorites for sure. They were posted last night on VIP. The rest of the VIP will be posted in a couple hours-ish. 7:30 tomorrow, 11:30 p.m. East, or 11:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Early show. I will talk to you guys then. Have a good day.
Doses.